Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast. Merry Christmas. And today we are doing something kind of different for our ranking episode this week. We are talking about our favorite Hallstars and their best and worst Christmas movies. And it's going to be a lot of fun. It was a challenge. And I'm film critic Rachel Wagner, and Terry's here.
Hi.
How's it going?
Pretty good.
Yeah. How did you feel about this?
This was hard. Some of these were hard.
Yeah.
Some really easy, unfortunately, but some hard.
Yes. And we picked 13 Hallstars. We tried to pick ones that are currently making movies for Hallmark, just because, I don't know, that's just what we decided to do, as opposed to your Danikas and your Candaces and stuff like that.
Kept it current.
Yeah. And we don't really have like the letterbox like we typically have for this one, but I will put a list of the 13 names in the description. And then if you all want to do your own lists or your own videos or your own blog posts, whatever you want to do, just tag us and let us know, because we want to hear your best and worst. And some of these worst aren't really like that bad of movies. It's just they have a strong catalog. Filmography. Would you agree?
I agree.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, overall, what do you think? Because some people look at these movies and they're like, they're all the same. And yet we, as fans, know what makes a good one and what makes a bad one. So in your mind, what do you think separates a good Hallmark Christmas movie from a not as good one?
Well, it's a good question. I would really have to think about it. What I enjoy is the level of how much fun they could have with the story, even if it's planning an event, friends to lovers, all those classic tropes that we would have for these type of movies. If they have fun with the script and there's chemistry and the acting is there, and sometimes they take wild swings that work. That's what I enjoy. It doesn't have to be the greatest looking or even acted movie, but I think if I have fun with the moment, if I can see maybe that there's some fun with it.
Yeah.
And sometimes the worst is just they're not horrible, but I just can't get invested, I guess. It's different for everybody.
Yeah, I think it comes down to banter. Am I enjoying the banter? They're making me laugh, I guess, or cry, depending on if it's one of the emotional ones. But and do I have chemistry with our leads? That is, I think, the biggest factor, because I'll accept a pretty ridiculous story if I'm feeling the banter and if I am feeling the chemistry. Then I think that makes the biggest difference.
And I gotta like the characters too. I feel like it, because sometimes they can be a tad annoying.
Yeah.
And however you can take that, it might ruin it for you.
For
the viewer.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get started. Let's talk Luke Macfarlane. He's one of our favorites. He's going to be in Call Me Mr. Claus.
I can't wait for that.
I'm so excited for that one. It looks hilarious. And what about you? What is your best of Luke Macfarlane?
I had to really think about this one because the majority of his Christmas films are actually good, but I went with a more recent one, Christmas in My Heart, which
that one was good.
Yeah, he co-stars with Heather Hemmings in it, and I just love the story of these two individuals who come together. He's a country music star, and she's a violinist, and he's a widow. And really, it's the bond when she starts teaching violin or tutoring however it goes, the violin to his daughter. Yeah, and there's a connection between the daughter and her where they both lost their mothers. They're both biracial, they both have a white dad. And they have the same sort of experience growing up in a musical family and the same type of family dynamic. And I thought it was just so sensitive is not the right word, but so realistic to a mixed families and how they interact and all this stuff. And then just them coming together. I just was very charmed by it. I thought it was lovely. I thought it had a really beautiful message of unity and love, and they even celebrate Hanukkah with their very close friends who are Jewish. So there was just a level of the acceptance. It's kind of weird to say that, but nothing of that felt forced to me. It just all felt like they were all friends. They were all falling in love, and it felt like just normal people doing normal things. Yeah. And I really liked that.
Yeah. And Shirley Ralph was the star of that movie.
Oh, totally.
She was so good. That scene where she's doing the hair of her granddaughter, that scene was so well done. Very effective.
Yeah, there's not a lot of that type of stuff in Hallmark movies either.
No.
That type of representation, that type of feeling,
Yeah. Yeah, that one's a good one. The chemistry wasn't quite doing it for me between the two of them, right. but it wasn't like terrible. So everything else was a good one. Really strong on that one. I agree. That one was really good. Yeah. My favorite from Luke Macfarlane, my favorite non-Christmas from him is The Birthday Wish. That's one of my favorites, like, period. But as far as Christmas movies, I had to go with Maggie's Christmas Miracle as my favorite. This was one I was not expecting to like. Karen Kingsbury isn't always my jam. The note part 1 and 2, that kind of thing. So I wasn't expecting, I guess, to like it as much as I did, and I thought that they had great chemistry, that Jill's, this might be my favorite from Jill as well. Christmas. I think that the whole scene when they give the blanket away, oh my gosh, I crying. Like, it was so good. And I don't know, I just remember, it's been a while, obviously, clearly, since I saw it, but I remember just thinking it was really, like, lovely and moving and great leads.
They have a nice decorating the tree moment too.
Yeah.
With the kid and them together. That I remember. It has been a while since I watched that one. I'll be honest, but I'd have to rewatch it. I liked it, but I wasn't in love with it. But
and this was also the era where every single movie with Jill Wagner, she was like staring longingly into a snow globe.
Yes. Oh, yes. I must forgot about that.
Including this movie.
I missed that. Yeah.
But all right. I think we have the same worst. What's your worst of Luke Macfarlane?
A Magical Christmas Village.
Yeah. Which it almost feels a little unfair, because I still feel like I don't think he was on set very long in this movie. I think he was only there. I don't think so.
He isn't. Yeah, he isn't a very big part of the film.
And they honestly aren't even together that much. I mean, the ending is completely underwhelming, because you're just like, they have not fallen in love. Like, and I mean, most of the stuff I hated, but didn't have anything to do with him. Like, again, he's not hardly in the movie.
No, what was wrong with the film did not have anything to do with him or his character.
Yeah.
And you can hear us plug for the worst Hallmark Christmas movie list, but we went off on this one. I
could not stand the fighting between mother and daughter. It was so unpleasant.
There's no magic either. That Christmas Village is not magical, people.
No.
But I do like the moment. There is a great moment Luke Macfarlane is in this movie, where I will give it that. A little bit of a spoilers. But when him and Allison Sweeney get together and he's handing out the toys for the kid, and he just throws the kid the toy so he can kiss her. He goes, "Here, kid, here you go." I mean, that made me chuckle. I thought that was fun.
But, he can't help but be a charm machine. He's so great. But he could not save this movie. He really couldn't save it.
Now listen, I'm very hopeful for his Christmas movie this year, because his Fall Harvest movie for Hallmark was great.
Oh, loved it so much.
And he's had a great year, because everybody should check out Amish Stud from Lifetime. You won't regret it. He is playing a terrible person, a real life terrible person, but he's having the time of his life. And just watch that for that.
I have it on my DVR.
Rachel, you're gonna howl. You're gonna howl with the stuff that goes on in that movie. Oh,
I know. I made a mistake. I watched the Murtaugh one. It was so boring. It had nothing. Like, I mean,
have yet to watch that one. Yeah.
These ripped from the headlines are always not as fun as I want them to be. Not to
they
go
do
on a
them
tangent,
too quickly.
Well, it's just like because
Lifetime can get them out. Like the murder will just happen, and Lifetime will get them out a week later. It's crazy.
Well, I mean, it's just I think because I'm a Dateline viewer, so I know everything. Like, and especially something like Murtaugh, I know everything, and so
I'm not that familiar with the case,
if I didn't know, then maybe it would be more like, whoa, I wasn't expecting that. And so it just feels like, well, this is boring. They're not doing anything like fun or campy or like the Sherry Papini one. Like that story should be like perfect for Lifetime. And they did like, I don't know, I just felt like it was so bland and boring. But I think it's partly just because I know everything that's exciting. So I've been sort of spoiled, for lack of a better word. I don't know.
You will enjoy Amish Stud.
But I don't know Amish Stud. So
yes, he really is a stud. So the title matches. Guys, check it out. It's worth it.
Well, everybody should watch Mary Bailey. That one was really good.
It's on my DVR. I have watched it. I'm so behind on my Christmas stuff, though. I don't know when I'll get to it.
It was actually quite good. I liked it. Well, yeah, Magic Christmas Village was just unpleasant and not what I would watch for a Hallmark movie.
And a shame for all the actors involved because they're all good. They just it just didn't connect.
Yeah. And you know me. I mean, I love Christmas Perfection. I love me. I mean, I was excited I love Christmas Village, like.
Yes. Well, it's magical, Rachel, because the lights go on without you turning it on. That's about as magical as it gets. Okay.
All right. Well, next up, we have Lacey Chabert.
Uh-huh.
And for me, for my best, I have to go with Christmas Waltz. I really loved it. It's so whimsical. The whole dancing down the street was just perfect. Their chemistry, they'd already been in a movie together. And so it was
I love them together.
Yeah,
I love so much fun.
Yeah.
All
the dance. I'm a sucker for dance movies in general. We've actually talked about doing a dance movie ranking one of these days.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Sure, yes, that's right.
I'm ready. And he's a trained dancer. I mean, he was a ballet dancer.
Oh yes.
In his career. Yeah. So this was perfect casting. And I love the script. I love all the dancing scenes. It's just so
like
fun.
That nobody had to sacrifice anything to be together, which was new for Hallmark because there's always somebody, usually the woman, sacrificing everything, but nobody had to sacrifice anything. Everybody was happy, and it has a very sort of old school feel to it, like a classic rom-com or something to it.
It really did. I mean, it felt like watching White Christmas. I mean, that kind of that kind of feel. And
it also does not feel like it was made in the height of like when they first got back to work at COVID.
That's true.
They are together. It doesn't because you could tell certain movies that they made it just feels like they couldn't do what they could do because of the COVID restrictions. Because this movie came out in 2020 and we were lucky to have it at all at that year, but it doesn't even feel like that. It's
true.
It's so great. It's wonderful. Watch it. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Agreed. All right. I think we also have the same worst on this one.
No.
Lacey.
No.
No?
No, I know what your worst is. I changed mine.
Oh, okay. My worst is
I do feel like,
my worst is Pride, Prejudice, and Mistletoe. It's one of my least favorite Hallmark movies. I think I had it at 3 in our worst ranking.
I agree. I agree that it is terrible.
It's so boring. It has nothing to do with Pride and Prejudice. Just nothing. This movie has nothing.
No.
And it dares to have Pride, Prejudice, and the title.
She has no chemistry either with Brendan Penny.
No.
And
it's
he rarely has chemistry with anybody. He rarely works for me. I'm sorry, fans. It's But for my worst, I could not pass up The Family for Christmas, which I'm going to plug again, our worst Hallmark Christmas list, because I ranted on this one. It's just, I don't think she learns anything by having that alternate reality. I think she was being punished Them kids were terrible because she didn't make cookies from scratch. But just Harper on that.
Yeah.
I just don't think it worked. I don't think it worked to show her life with a family and how much better it would be because, she didn't have that much of a bad life before. So
yeah. And aren't the kids, aren't they like weird about cereal and stuff like that? Like,
yeah, like her family is like
high maintenance.
Okay, because she has a career, she's successful at a career. She's alone. Gasp,
Yeah.
she's alone. This movie's from 2015. So it's an era. Gasp, she's alone. She's a woman of a career, career woman. And so her alternative life was showing that she has a family. She's a stay-at-home mom. She does everything from scratch. She cleans the house. That's the ideal woman.
Yeah.
And then when she tries to get work back into her life, that family aspect falls apart. And I do not think it has a good balance of showing somebody who can have a little bit of both, with some sacrifices. Obviously, we have to make sacrifices at times, but I don't know. It's from a time.
Yeah. I liked this movie when it first came out.
Right.
But I think it's been done. The formula has been done so much better.
So much better.
I mean, you just take me back for Christmas, other things like that. A million times better than this. So I can see why it's, I still don't think I definitely don't think it's worse than Pride, Prejudice, and Mistletoe, but
I was debating on whether, I was like, I couldn't go. This one was a bit hard, but I went for what in my gut, I will never watch Family for Christmas again.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't watch Pride and Prejudice. I wouldn't do that either again, but I had to go with it.
Ho, ho, ho. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcasts, especially at Christmas?
Do you enjoy the holiday previews, recaps, interviews, and bonus episodes?
If the answer is yes, please consider supporting the Hallmarkies Patreon. We need your help to do what we do both during the Christmas season and all year round.
But not only do you help a podcast led by strong, independent women by becoming a Patreon, you get to become a part of the Hallmarkies family.
Starting at only $2 a month as a patron, you will have access to our Facebook Patreon group where we talk about the movies, shows, and more all year.
We also have many monthly patron watch-alongs with guests like Lacey Chabert, Natalie Hall, Paul Campbell, Mary Lou Henner, and more, giving their behind-the-scenes details of their films.
As a patron, you also have the chance to provide input into the podcast and even join us at different tiers.
So this Christmas season, spread some cheer to the Hallmarkies Patreon and become a member today. You won't regret it.
Go to patreon.com/Hallmarkies to learn more.
That's patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
Okay. Well, next up we have Brennan Elliott. And I decided to go with Christmas at Grand Valley as my favorite of his. I like in general. I mean, this is a pretty basic. He's like the big bad developer coming in for the hotel or whatever. And so that's basic, but I thought it had cute moments. It was pretty well executed version of that trope. And one of my favorite parts of the movie is when they go on he asks her on this date and they go on this little date. And a lot of times Hallmark movies kind of forget about the dates because they'll just be like planning a party or they'll be, so they kind of forget that
all they
element.
ever do. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I liked that. And I do think they have pretty good chemistry, and it's not like a masterpiece or anything, but I think most of his best of Hallmark are non-Christmas, oddly enough.
I would agree because this was difficult for me because I'm not saying they're bad, but I think his better films are the non-holiday films.
Yeah,
I agree on that.
Mm-hmm. So this one, I have a fond recollection of it. I haven't seen it since it came out, but I remember enjoying it.
It's okay. It's fine. How about myself?
Fair enough. What do you have as best?
I had to really think about this one. I went with A Christmas Melody with Lacey Chabert. It's this one is just like, because it's bonkers, it's crazy. Mariah Carey is never in a scene with anyone. It's like they're such pros, Lacey and Brennan Elliott are such pros, and they've been doing it for so long. Even in 2015, I think that movie came out. Even back then, that like it's nothing for them to be talking with a clear stand-in when you see from the back of the head and just continuing to do it on. But there's just something, just the whole element of the school play and the mean girls and making the costumes. And then Mariah Carey stand double from the back. And then all of a sudden she's just alone in a room talking in a conversation.
Well,
and the backgrounds don't match real well.
The little girl's song in this like sexy song. It was so
oh my gosh. It's crazy. It's like sometimes you have fun with these bonkers sort of tales. But yeah, it's so funny to see them in the room, like Lacey Chabert's talking to Mariah Carey's character. And then you turn to face Mariah Carey, and clearly she's alone in a soundstage with a sort of different background. It's so noticeable. And I was like, I think I love this movie just for that.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. Yeah,
sometimes you got to have fun with this, you know. You know, it's fun.
Yeah, I think I could have picked Gift of Peace. That one was that was pretty solid.
I did think about, I did really enjoy that one as well.
Yeah. Well, for my worst, it was a battle because I really didn't like Open by Christmas. That was not for me. Mm-hmm. But he was fine. Like, it was not his fault at all.
Right.
It was more Erica's plotline that I really hated. But I had to go with Christmas Encore. And again, he's fine. It's not his fault. But I just hated the story. It was so stupid. About this groundbreaking. They're having a female Scrooge at the local theater. It's going to change New York City.
What is it with Hallmark and these local theater productions being like amazing and these guys being stars? They're not.
No,
they're not. Very rarely do big stars go back to do local theater. Sometimes they do.
Which that could be a good story. Reason. Like if you have
that could have been a big story going back.
Sure.
Oh, they kind of did that with
Dickens of a Holiday.
That's it. Yeah. They did that too. Big star coming back for local production. Totally.
That's fun. Love
that.
But
like, they're like, this is gonna rejuvenate Charles Dickens or something like that. And I
hated it was so stupid, and this is so cluttered, and there's so many characters, and it was just awful. So it had to be my worst. What's your worst? For Brennan.
Right. I have a great dislike for this movie. I can't pinpoint it why. I don't know why Hallmark made has also a movie novelization of it, but it's Love You Like Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Going all the way back to 2016. Who stars?
I don't hate this one. I haven't seen it.
Bonnie Somerville, that's it. Okay,
I don't hate this one.
I don't know why. Like, I'm so annoyed. I think I just didn't like anybody. She crashes her car. She's got to get it fixed. And he's like, "Whoa, it was me." And "Whoa, my small town." And you got to love this. And I got to plant some trees. This is Christmas. You know, I'm banging my chest here.
I mean, they totally gaslight.
Really yes, there's a lot of that. And I am just. You know, and she's a woman of business, so she's got to learn a lesson, and she's got to learn her priorities. Because small town life, and he's again the sexy hunk who knows, who's full of wisdom and sway, but is so annoying and pretentious and all that stuff. And I don't know. It's just this one. I avoid this one like the plague. Well, it does shock people when I say I don't like this movie, but I can't.
Well, the next up we have Christopher Polaha, and this was probably the hardest. It made me realize he has quite a solid filmography. And
hardest.
I had to go with Rocky Mountain Christmas is my favorite. I know that he's made some other good films, Dickens of a Holiday, being one of them, but I feel like this movie gives you everything you could want in a Hallmark movie, Hallmark Christmas movie. You've got all the community, you've got the family, you have that amazing scene with Treat Williams showing him the ticket in his wallet for when he decided to stay with the girl, and that made all the difference. And I that scene is one of my favorites ever in a Hallmark movie. I think it's so well acted and so great. And I love the whole parade in the rain at the end. Like that was just really good. And I love it.
Rachel,
I think it's really good.
Prepare to grab them pearls, but I put this one as my worst.
Oh.
Yes, I knew I was going to shock you. This was so hard. He was one of the hard, like there was two really hard for me to pick here.
Yeah. And
I have enjoyed a majority of his Hallmark movies, but all of his holiday movies I've really liked.
Yeah.
And so when I say worst, for me, I will specify in saying it's the one that I least rewatch, the one I least think about. And this falls into that category. It's not about the script or the story or the coupling or whatever. He's playing a famous actor trying to learn ranch life,
Yeah.
And so we've seen that numerous times before. So it's just one that I always forget he's in this movie. And I think that's why I picked it for my worst. Not that it's bad, because he doesn't have a bad Christmas movie.
Yeah, he really doesn't.
But I just picked this one because it's the one I forget that he's in all the time. It's my least remembered one.
Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah. What did you have as your best?
I had Double Holiday.
Yeah, I love that one too. I thought about it.
I just thought it was so fun about like their bickering, competing coworkers, and they have to do this holiday party together. And they help each other out, see who's going to get this promotion. But she's Jewish, and so he celebrates Hanukkah with her and the celebrations, and they bond through all that stuff while she's helping him with the Christmas party. And I don't think it's like, while we learn some traditions, some Hanukkah traditions, because we don't really got a lot of Hanukkah movies out there, it never does feel kind of preachy, like they're giving you a lesson on what these lessons are. He's like, oh, let me help you. It's like, oh, we're gonna make food together, show me what to do here. And they do it in sort of an organic way to like explain the holiday and what they're doing. And I liked their chemistry, and it was fun. It's a fun workplace romance.
I agree. I think that movie got way more hate than it deserved. It had that like hit piece before it even came out.
I know. It's a little unfair to that.
Yeah. And fine, people can have their opinions. That's fine. But I just felt like people criticizing it for not being a standalone Hanukkah movie, I didn't think that was really fair, because they were planning a holiday party, and I felt like that's something that's like real and authentic. Like,
true.
I mean, how many workplaces have a separate Hanukkah party? Not many. They have a holiday party and ask these two people to plan it. That felt real to me. And so I don't know. And I thought Nina did a great job with the script on that one. And I really
actually think it was really great too for people who love Christmas movies in particular, and don't really watch movies based on other holidays for other religious holidays. Not that any of these Hallmark movies, not that they're religious in nature, for the Christmas, but like they don't watch anything outside of a Christmas tree and making cookies or whatever. And I think this is a good introduction if one is curious to watch a Hanukkah movie.
I agree. It had like the prayers, and it had, without being like that annoying one for Lifetime where they're like, we're going to give each other lessons on both holidays. Oh, that one was terrible.
It's like, let me read off a spreadsheet, right? That's how that one is. Let me read off a spreadsheet.
My worst, and it's partly just a genre thing. It's not a bad movie, is We Wish You a Merry Christmas. Hallmark has been doing more and more of these marriage and crisis movies. Practically every year we get one or two of them, and I'm fine with it. They're fine, but I just don't like them as much. It's just not.
No, I get it.
And I can respect them. I can enjoy them. It's just not as engaging to me. It's just not what I like.
I think these they don't have to be in crisis. I don't
really like the fighting. I don't really like it's fine to have as part of the story, and everything doesn't have to be about me. And I'm sure the people that are like going through conflict in their marriage or divorce or whatever, I'm sure that they really like it. It's just, I just don't like it as much as like stories about love and or new love. And I don't know. This one, it was perfectly fun. You know, it was definitely like a horror movie in disguise.
Because they couldn't leave the town. They were being forced to stay to work through therapy.
It was better than Fabled Holiday in that regard,
for sure.
But I really like Brian Sills as the inn owner, and we had a lot of fun on the podcast recapping it and being like, what's going on between this therapist and this inn owner and the like, and we're laughing about it. And,
so it has its charm. I do think that Hallmark needs to do more movies about married couples. They don't have to be in crisis. Not every single married couple has to be in crisis, but like as some of their popular stars get a little bit older, and nothing against them, but you could tell a really good story about a married couple instead of two people meeting and falling in love. You can do a good story about a married couple going through something.
Yeah, like what's wrong with doing one like I think it was Bonnie Somerville. They had Mom's Day Out or whatever,
right?
For Mother's Day. Or I remember the one with what's her name? Where the mom goes on strike for Christmas.
The Lifetime.
Yeah.
What is her name?
I can't think of her name. She's in these
Daphne.
Zuniga.
Daphne. I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. The
Melrose Place.
Yeah. That one was fun.
She's fed up of doing everything and nobody helping out. Yeah. So there's family stories we can tell like that that are still engaging and entertaining. Yeah.
Yeah. Daphne Zuniga on strike for Christmas. That's a fun one.
That's it. Yeah. From Lifetime. So it's a good one. Check it out. Yeah. So you can do that without them having to be so close to divorce. Right. But
Yeah. So that one was my least favorite. All right. Let's do Tyler Hynes.
Oh boy.
My favorite, I went with It's Christmas Eve. I really like Tracy Andreen's script on this. I think I like the meta when they kind of comment on the meet cutes and
his first Christmas movie.
The other tropes of romantic comedies. I think it's effective, and the use of the music and it's
beardless as well. He's beardless as well.
Yes. So that was
that one feels like a million years ago when it wasn't, because he's done so many movies since then and he's become a sensation. That was his first holiday movie and people just fell in love with Tyler. I get it though, because
he's charming.
Man, he could just stand there and he's so hot. I mean, for real. Like, it's like he's chiseled out there. And he's very charming.
No question.
But that's a cute, and also it's about school. She's a school attendant, right? Or she works something for the board, and she's going, and they're going to cut the music program, and she's trying to help save it, and it's a charming story too about that. There's more involved in both of them. That one is a good one.
What do you have?
Oh boy. I went out there for this one. This might shock a few people, but it's my level of enjoyment. The Mistletoe Secret.
Okay. Yeah. No,
I remember when this came out, people were like, oh, and I was like, listen, so Kelly Pickler is the greatest actress in the world. But like, he's like, he writes the travel shows secretly for
I wish we could get the Christopher Russell Tyler Hynes spin-off from this movie.
Oh my gosh, yes, because she's like trying to save her town and she runs the diner and her dad's Patrick Duffy and it's really cute. I hear it's better than the book too. And he comes to town and he's secretly writing for this travel show. It's a big secret. And then she starts dating Christopher Russell, and he's very annoyed that he's taking all his steam, with all his work for the show, which he never minded before, but now he's got a lady in the mix, that he kind of likes. There's just something about this movie that I just like, and I love just the cat. There's a little bit of cattiness, the competition of it. You know what? It's kind of
Good
like
kiss in that movie. when he comes up and I think she's like hanging ornaments or something. Yeah, I'm like,
and the passports that they got to stamp all the time for their Christmas activities.
Oh yeah, I like that one too.
It's
the book is terrible.
Sorta...
Don't read the book; it's awful.
Oh yeah, I heard that all those Mistletoe books aren't that great. That the movies are better. It kind of what a weird. I just thought of it. It's a little like Cyrano. The comparison is weird, but because he's writing the words and doing the stuff that he gets to do on the show, and this guy who's using other people's words is getting all the credit, and the woman.
Yeah.
So
that's true. Yeah. I also thought of the 12 Dates of Christmas. I like that one a lot. That's
also very fun.
Yeah. That'd probably be my second choice. But yeah, for worst, I got to go with most recent, Never Been Christ. Same. I didn't like his character. I didn't like the story. I really disliked, especially the Hanukkah family and mom. I thought they were just too mean-spirited and just, I don't know. It just wasn't for me. I just didn't enjoy it.
I picked also Never Been Christ. I don't hate it. I don't like it either. I don't think it's fairly good. I'm indifferent on the movie at most. Like, that's how I feel. I'm just indifferent on it. But I picked this one as his worst because he's barely in it.
Yeah.
I think the worry was how
his character's unnecessary.
Unnecessary because we were sold on a movie that we thought was going to be a triangle, and we were worried about how catty these women were going to get, these best friends were going to get for this man. But it's resolved fairly quickly who he ends up with. And I think it is he ended up with the wrong girl. I'm team Liz here.
I agree.
Okay, because he had no chemistry.
We said that in our recap. Me and Thaddeus.
Okay, I didn't know if it was if I was the only person to see it. I was team Liz all the way. This movie is about two best friends, these two ladies, who learned that it is okay to have a life outside of each other. And it is a story about their friendship. And they have questionable moms. Yeah. And that storyline isn't really resolved either about the relationship with the moms. Maybe more so with Chanel Parrish's mom, but not like,
but still,
not Liz's mom. Liz's mom was passive aggressive to like the hilt. That ain't never going to change. But
it just left me with a sour taste in my mouth. I just was like, this is not. It's kind of like Magical Christmas Village. Like, this is not why I watch Hallmark movies, to have this kind of.
Why would you put him? I mean, okay, it's actually great that he is not the center of attention for the movie, that he's not really the lead of the movie. So that's fine that he took a role like this on, but that whole plot line feels unnecessary. He wasn't what was the most exciting thing? He lied about being vegan, that he sometimes eats fish. Like, oh, the horror.
Yeah. I mean, I have to be honest, I was not a fan of his spring movie either, the one with Rhiannon. So
his movies this year haven't been great. No.
Not my favorite. So I love Tyler. He's awesome.
I don't even see. He had no. Yeah. Why did he? I can't remember Chanel Parrish's character's name now. I don't know why he liked. I don't know why he liked her.
No.
How did they get together so quickly? Because I was surprised that they went. No, actually knew that they were going to end up because she was the bigger name out of the two ladies for Hallmark movies and stuff like that. But they did it so quickly, and which surprised me. I almost wish Hallmark was never going to do this, but I just wish they went like to surprise everybody, have everybody clutch their pearls and take out their smelling salts, and they would have ended up as some kind of throuple. Just go, throw everything to the wall.
I don't know.
And do it as a comedy. Have it a comedy like that.
Or not to say that they should have had Liz end up. They should have had another option, so Liz had another love interest, so they both ended up or that they were just ended up as friends. Like, but you should have had, oh, look, I'm dancing with so and so, and maybe they had like a little
something like that, because all those people were too old to still be crying about high school and about not going to high school dances and whatnot.
Yeah, nobody cares about
They were in their mid-30s.
Yeah.
They clearly state that in the movie. They're in their mid-30s. And I'm like, if they were younger.
Yeah, agreed.
Maybe, but no.
It was bad. It was bad. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's The Trouble with Mistletoe by Jennifer Snow. It is the first of the Brook Hollow series. In best-selling author Jennifer Snow's sweet, wholesome Christmas romance, The Trouble with Mistletoe, our heroine learns that you can't say no to a mistletoe kiss, no matter who's under it. Since leaving Brook Hollow and her fiancé Luke Dawson 12 years earlier, Victoria Mason hasn't looked back. She's traded the small-town dream of marriage, kids, and family Christmas dinners for late nights working at a high-powered acquisitions firm, lunches at trendy New York restaurants, and jet-setting vacations on the slopes. So her latest work assignment to acquire Brook Hollow's sporting goods store poses a challenge for Victoria in more ways than one, because it's almost Christmas and she's got other holiday plans, and the owner is reluctant to sell, and the owner is Luke. She needs to wrap up the deal before she gets caught up in her old life and her old love, or becomes trapped under the mistletoe again. You can find The Trouble with the Mistletoe by Jennifer Snow wherever you purchase your holiday reads, or use the affiliate link in the description below. All right, well, let's talk about Paul Campbell. I think I gotta go with Winter Wonderland as my favorite.
I do.
Yeah, I mean, it's a classic
that one
for
very
a
much.
reason.
It is.
It's where I got my whole, I think you can only be a good person in the city and a Hallmark movie if you run a parade or a window designer. That's movies from this movie.
And how he lives in that mall too.
Yeah.
Oh man. It's a superstore, not a mall.
Cameron is the villain in this, is fun as the bad man.
Oh, he's a man of business who doesn't care, right? Yeah.
Really fun. It's a classic. It's one of the best.
Agreed. It totally is.
So I had to go with that one.
So we watched this one a few years ago, and it's very funny, the window displays. And I was like, none of them are good. But it is very charming. For my best, I really do love Winter Wonderland as well, but I chose the Mistletoe I'm sorry, I was reading the wrong. The Santa Stakeout. I chose that one because it's just
a good one. It
has fun with its concept of that they are police officers. They have to go undercover and pretend to be a couple in this neighborhood that does a lot of Christmas traditions because they think their neighbor is fencing or stealing stuff. And it's just, it's like ridiculous. The whole premise is ridiculous what they do. And I think that there's good chemistry and the whole cast works well together. And they have fun with the premise. When they come out dressed as elves, that montage, the music, I cracked up. It's really funny. Mm-hmm. They made it, they didn't take themselves seriously. And I like that.
It's a really good one. All right. Well, my worst, this movie is okay. It's watchable, but I do think it's the worst one is Holiday Hearts. I mean, the plot does not really make sense. This kind of weird the way that this girl is becoming attached to them as like her parents. She just does this drawing.
Her parents are going to come back. Her dad, they're only watching her for a minute.
Yeah, and there's no world where you would be in the hospital for like that long with a broken leg. Like, what? It doesn't even. I mean, it's bizarre.
That's a special care right there. They must have had super insurance.
And there's like lots of cringy product placement in this with the Balsam Hill I mean, these two leads are so likable. I didn't hate watching it. It was fine, but I do think it's his worst.
Yeah, not the strongest. Yeah. I went with Once Upon a Holiday.
Okay.
It's a royal movie. I love my royal movies, but I don't think it worked because this she's a princess who's going to be queen, and she gets her purse. She's in the city. I'm going to enjoy a day of being normal. Who wants that when you're rich and have everything at your fingertips? Come on. But she gets mugged and she fakes having amnesia to live a normal day before she has to take queen duties. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
He's fine in the movie. I just don't think there's much chemistry, and it's not the strongest performance from. I can't remember the actress.
I do agree on the chemistry and her.
Yeah,
but it was enough of like an homage to.
Yeah, there's that. I mean, she just wants to live one day like that. She's not gonna, give it up to work in a mall like the other movies that came forward after that.
But I think it was enough. Obviously, trying to be Roman holiday that. for Hallmark, that it worked for me, but yeah, I think that those are weaknesses to it, so I can understand.
Yeah.
All right, so next we have Andrew Walker, and if I was going on just Hallmark movies, I would probably do Three Wise Men and a Baby. Is, I think, the best movie he's ever made for Hallmark Christmas. But I am going to go Lifetime. I'm going Snowden Christmas. I think that's the best movie he's maybe ever made in these rom-coms.
Agree.
It's so good. It's so charming. It's so funny. Such a good script from Carly Smale. She did this, and she did Christmas Pen Pals, so she's just unbelievable. And this is like a classic story, but well done. Funny, great chemistry, great leads, and they had the music video to accompany it, which I'll always give it a bump because of that. So yeah, what do you have?
I also chose Snowden Christmas as his best overall Christmas movie. Now, if I was to choose strictly Hallmark, it would be Christmas Tree Lane with Alicia Witt. Okay. And I love that one because he doesn't know he's the villain of that movie. And when he finds out that he's responsible for all that, he freaks out. And I just love that reaction. Like, it's so great. And when she's like, oh, who doesn't, like hot chocolate with peppermint? And he goes, people who have no souls, who are dead inside.
Yeah.
There is they have great chemistry and it's fun. But Snowden Christmas is like perfect.
Yeah, it really is.
I think it's one of the best Lifetime Christmas movies, holiday movies that they have done.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much.
We both got it, I think,
there's
pretty
so much,
high.
Yeah. Like there's just enough Christmas magic and feuding coworkers who fall in love. That aspect of it, a familiar aspect that we all love, and it's just fun. They have fun with the whole premise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, my worst for Andrew Walker, it's got to be Christmas on My Mind. I just really don't like it. And I mean, you have this crazy thing that happens to her where she, has this amnesia, and everybody just acts like it's like a normal day in the park. Like they're just out skating and hanging out and whatever. Like, and I
agree. This is also my worst.
Yeah, it's so
crazy
bad.
Because she falls and hits. She's getting a wedding dress. She falls and hits her head and thinks it's 5 years past to when she was engaged before. She shows up to Andrew Walker and it's like, what's going on? She hit her head. I can only remember the past, and nobody from her present is looking for this. This woman who's rich, by the way. No one's looking for this rich woman.
And like her fiance doesn't even care that his fiance can't even remember who he is, and they're supposed to be getting married in 3 weeks. Like, you'd be very upset. I don't care how into business you are,
Yeah. Totally.
It's just,
it doesn't work. It doesn't work because there's nobody. It would work had there been somebody in her present life who was actively searching for her.
Mm-hmm.
And there isn't. It's like when you were missing? You were gone all this time? Bro, she was gone for like days. How do you not miss this woman who runs a foundation? How do you not know she's missing? So that's what didn't work. There was nobody looking for her. And then everybody thinking like, oh, well, I guess we got to pretend, we're not engaged, but what happened? And it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Or if they like leaned into the screwball comedies, like, but it's not funny, like at all. They just treat this as like,
no, it is not funny. It's very serious.
Like if it was kind of like My Favorite Wife, or I forget the Doris.
Oh, totally. Yes.
Like if they leaned into sort of the screwball antics of it and had fun with it, then I wouldn't care. But they treat it it's just like as if nothing happened, and they're just like a normal skating montage, and it just
totally. Yeah. It didn't work. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so next we have Erin Krakow, and I actually went with her. Maybe most people, maybe people wouldn't want to do this, but I had to go with the When Calls the Heart. I think it's the first Christmas special. I think all of the Christmas specials are pretty much peak When Calls the Heart. It's just like it packages kind of everything that you like about that show. and it really fits Christmas, I think, very well. But I especially the one, I think it's just called The One Calls the Heart Christmas Blessing or something like that. And it's the one where they have the peddler come into town, who is basically Santa Claus, and he's
When Calls the Heart. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's not on Letterboxd, but
yeah.
that one is my favorite, I think, of her Christmas movies.
I too went with because I don't like her Christmas movies. I think she has lesser ones than better ones, but I too went with a When Calls the Heart Christmas movie, and it was the Christmas Wishing Tree.
Yeah.
Where the town helps with, like, they put the wishes written on the ornaments, and the town people help make them come true, or to at least help make them come true. And Jack comes back, and Jack is still alive in this. This is the season though that he goes bye-bye, so it's like the last holiday,
the last hurrah. That's
the last hurrah, really is. And he's making that crib, he's for the family, and he's like building stuff, and I just think it so works. And some of the best episodes of When Calls the Heart were the Christmas specials, were the movies that they did, and they've stopped doing that, and I think that sucks.
I agree. And it was so nice to have it on Christmas Day. Like, that was
absolutely
fun
we have nothing
too.
Hallmark airs nothing on Christmas Day, and it is maddening. Like, they don't air anything on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. They stop like a whole week and a half before, like a whole week before the actual. It's bonkers scheduling they do. But that was kind of a tradition to look forward to watching the Christmas special on Christmas Day, and they were always the best of the season.
Yeah,
at least
I
for
agree.
me. Yeah, I missed it. I wish they would do it. I wish they would go back to it.
There are so many bad ones in the bad. Sorry, Erin, but there's so many. But I gotta go with Engaging Father Christmas. I just hate it, and I know it has tons of fans,
on it,
but I hate the conflict.
Yeah.
I hate the story.
Yes.
It's just terrible.
Well, I cheated Rachel, and I put the whole trilogy as the worst.
Yeah, fair enough.
Because they are one. They are the same movie done
so
3
bad.
times over.
Yeah.
Except that they have an engagement and a wedding. That's the only difference. But they are all the same movie. So it is an illegitimate daughter of a famed
regional Christmas Carol actor.
Christmas Carol who did community theater and traveled to other community theaters. Apparently,
this is such a scandal that they're going to blackmail the family and make her leave Ian so that
Rachel,
the family
her father
gets scandalized.
Rachel, you don't understand. Her father was the Olivier of community theater.
Oh, God, I hate it. Oh, okay.
All right.
Next.
Okay, so we're moving on.
Next, we have Ashley Williams, and this was another really hard one. She doesn't really have it for Christmas movies because there's some like, I don't love on a Limb, but she has maybe I don't love as much, but Christmas movies, they're all pretty solid.
Totally.
But I went with, for my favorite, I went with Never Kiss a Man in a Christmas Sweater. I thought this one was funny. It brings out her comedic energy. I like the
totally.
He
ran into that tree, people. She didn't knock him down. He ran into that tree.
The thing with her daughter, I thought was pretty well done. And her going through this, like her being divorced and
sharing holidays and all that stuff.
Yeah. That all worked. And so I think another strong Nina script for this one.
Yeah.
That was my favorite. What did you pick?
I really had to. I almost picked Snow, which is an ABC Family movie, but I hadn't seen that in so long, so I didn't know. It was like, I haven't seen that in so long. I don't know if it lives up to it. So I decided to go with Christmas in Evergreen, which is a movie that I absolutely loved and adored. And I was like, I hope there's a sequel. And I remember Ashley Williams retweeted that going, me too. And there was a sequel, but which was pretty good, but each without her, really. I mean, they made cameos, but they sort of made the sequel. I just wanted in the sequels that followed, everything that her and the couple that gets together, it negated everything that they wanted to stay in the city, in the town, Evergreen, and then they just leave it in the following sequels. So,
well, I've said for a long time that I think she should have picked Mark Rosner. He's the one that's flying in to see her. He's the one that actually is like making time for her. Whereas Steve Lund wants to go to Florida. He wants to leave.
No. He because he wanted to spend Christmas with. He was going to spend it with his parents. They didn't have a set place. He was divorced.
Christmas land.
Okay, but he doesn't know that at first. When the plane gets stranded, he realizes how great it is, and there's no town doctor. He becomes the town doctor at the end. They are happy together. She stays at the vet, and then in the sequel just had, because they didn't get him back. He was visiting his parents in Florida, and she came back for. But then he moves to France in the third one, and they're living overseas. And I was like, what happened here? So it gets progressively worse, but there is a charm to this original movie, which is very charming.
It is.
It's charming. Very Santa lives there in the town.
It's Teddy Sears, not Steve Lund. I said it wrong, but I just think like Mark Strasser's treated as the villain. Why? He actually makes like an effort to go and see her. He actually wants to be with her. Like he helicopters in. There's no reason except for the fact that he's still in business.
He's always on his phone, Rachel. He's a man of business who's on his phone a lot. It doesn't work. Okay. There's just a charm to this original Christmas in Evergreen that I think that the next one with Jill Wagner holds up that charm, but it loses it. That's why they don't make it anymore. They do have
the near kisses in the second one were like legendary. They were so
totally. But there is a charm. There's like more. This one has the most magic, I think, than any of the other sequels, and the most on the globe that they wish on, and
well,
I think they hold this one in a bubble.
Yeah, my worst. It's not a bad movie, but I did have to go with the Sister Swap Christmas in the City, and again, not bad. I liked the gimmick; it was fun enough, but this was the one that's basically just a party planning movie, and I wish that so they have this gimmick of the two stories coinciding together and everything, and like it's like the red, blue, and white series. I don't know if you know that. Anyway, the or like Pulp Fiction or some of these that have that all these things happening all at the same time, and that's fine, but I wish that they'd given them something interesting to do. I mean, if you take out that aspect, the stories are very, very, very basic that we've seen many, many times. And because I'm a movie lover, I think I prefer the Save the Theater aspect of the other one.
Yeah, that worked better. The Save the Something. Yeah. The Save the Something story worked better than the party planning. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there just wasn't a whole lot in this one to enjoy. I like both of these, these sisters. They're great, and these actresses. And it's mildly amusing. The gimmick is fun, but I just thought it wasn't a great story, and I wish it had been better.
Sure.
So that's the worst.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, Hardy, or Hallmarkie in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies.
Picked Northern Lights of Christmas.
It was a little boring, but I did love the reindeer love story.
Yeah, bonkers. He keeps leaving. The reindeer keeps leaving to find the other reindeer. His ladies out there or whatever. And she's a pilot, and he's like a disgruntled. I was going to say
really
farmhand.
grumpy.
He's not a farmhand. He's just he's disgruntled though.
He's like the man with many jobs.
Yes, exactly. Working around the reindeer farm. He's working around. Well, technically, kind of a farmhand. He's working around the reindeer farm.
Yeah,
and she flies, and like I've got a relationship with these reindeer. They'll be all right. And I was just so bored by it. And I don't think they have good chemistry. And this one is probably the one that I wouldn't go back and watch. My least forgotten for Ashley Williams as well. It's dull to me,
Yeah. Well,
they got some interesting CGI moments with with those reindeers, but
they're
not too much. But
yeah. Well, next we have Jessie Schram, and I don't think she has like a terrible one. But in Christmas, if we were doing obviously the Maze movie, but for best, I have to go with Road to Christmas. I love it. I love the script. I love the chemistry, the cast, the road trip element. It's one of my favorites.
I love when they stop to get all the brothers so they can get together to do the mom's show, and how each brother is unique and has their own storyline, and I do love it too. It's one of the better road trip movies. I'm sorry, road trip, because sometimes you can go wrong with a road trip movie.
Yeah.
And
definitely.
Nobody's annoying, and they're all working on this TV show. And I don't know, it's fun. It's fun. Yeah. It's well written. It's clever.
Agreed.
And
so what do you have as worst?
I have the series that refuses to die. Time for them to come home for Christmas.
Yeah.
I was trying to make sure it was them. I was like, wait, is it them? Is it there? I can't remember. This series refuses
this
to
one
die.
was bonkers. This one was particularly bonkers in that series.
Like, this particular one, she has amnesia. She needs to get to go where she's going for some reason. And again, Brendan Penny, man, I'm sorry, guys. He just doesn't do it for me.
Yeah.
And he's in it. He's a nurse, and he's going to help. It's kind of a road trip movie as well. He's going to help her, take her back to the town to see if her memory comes dry, and he's going to visit because he hasn't been home since his brother died. And when you find out that, she wants to go say to, man, her sister what was her sister mad about her? I was like, you still mad over this? This like fighting over who's spending time with the holidays or whatever. It was just so boring, and they didn't have any chemistry together. And I was like, they are really stretching this premise of people coming home for Christmas or whatever. And I think this is what, the fourth or the third, right? Yeah, I think this is the third in the
yeah.
Well, it's not going to be 6 movies, I think, right?
Something like that, yeah. It was, and the way that this sister reacted when
exactly,
I thought, did she
like how dare you?
Did she cheat with her husband or something? I'm like, no.
Oh, I totally thought, did you take a man?
Like, her reaction
was steal money.
Her reaction was way more than like we had a difference of opinion about how to take care of our father. Like,
exactly, it is a very petty reason to be mad and not speak to each other. I really thought, I was like, she took her man at one point. Yeah,
that's what it seemed like. It was well, for me, I have to go with the Nashville Christmas Carol. It's just
agree.
Like,
yeah, I mean, I also, yeah.
It's hard there, because it was very affected by COVID, and so I kind of give them a little bit of slack. They couldn't do a lot of what they wanted to do, but I mean, they just it's so lacking any kind of bite that you need for A Christmas Carol. I mean, they literally have the Bob Cratchit-esque character literally is begging to work with her. They love her so much. I mean, this is just such a weak version of Scrooge.
I don't.
And there's no redemption to be had.
That's
like,
sure.
She just works hard. Like that's
She
all
works hard,
that,
yeah.
it's not the story. Don't put Christmas Carol on it if you're not gonna like do anything. And the whole thing just feels like a missed opportunity and a waste.
Totally. Like I agree. Like I was thinking about putting this one, but I don't like the time movies more. But I agree, it just wasn't there. She didn't have any redemption. Like,
no, because she wasn't a bad person. Like,
I mean, I don't know how I would feel if I woke up and Winona was over there like, hey girl, you're gonna be visited by some ghosts. And I was like, can we jam? Can you sing to me? Because I might go crazy. I was like, come on, let's sing some Judd songs, but I don't know, it just didn't work. I did love seeing all the country people though. That was the fun of it.
That was fun, and they're two very likable leads, and
it
had its moments, but yeah,
they were trying to do something.
They just need to commit. Same. They need to commit to the bit. If they're gonna do Christmas Carol, they got to do it. And like with We're Scrooged on Up TV this season, like they are like the opening scene, that she's a bad woman of business because she ignores a bell ringing Santa. And
no.
like she
but they're trying to reinvent the wheel. They want to be new and fresh, but you don't have to be with that.
You can have characters that have an arc and start as a bad person. Like
exactly.
Anyway, so next up we have Rachel Boston, and I have to go with, I really do like Ice Sculpture Christmas, so I was debating about that, but I had to go with Christmas in Angel Falls.
The same for me.
Yeah, I just love this movie. It has so many swoon-worthy moments, and Paul Green is like the epitome of the man with many jobs. Like every scene in this movie, he has a different job. He's
good-hearted soul.
Yeah. But it's I love the scene when they're dancing. I love the scene at the church. It's got a great message of hope, and it's just exactly what you want for a Christmas movie.
And it's a struggle too. She has a struggle of whether she wants to give up for a free will, give up her angelic life to be with him. And Beau Bridges is right. Yeah. He's the main, the main guy. I love it too, because it has Touched by an Angel feels.
Mm-hmm.
But of course she ends up with the man in this one. And I'm a little disappointed because we had a sequel to it that I found boring and just didn't hold up to the charm as this one. And we were supposed to get another sequel that had the two of them together, but that all fell apart. So but it's very charming.
Is the favorite.
Oh, for my best, I also have a Christmas in Angel Falls.
Right. Oh, okay. Well, for worst, it's not terrible. It's just kind of boring. I went with A Rose for Christmas. It was either that one or the Carousel one, but I mean, it's kind of novel.
Oh my gosh, I debated the same thing.
It's kind of novel to have it about the Rose Parade, and and everything's it's something different. I appreciated that, but it was just kind of boring. Like them planning the parade and the float.
He's so grouchy.
Yeah,
he's so mean.
It's not horrible.
Kind of ugly.
I wouldn't be opposed.
It's the
to watching
biggest
it
crime
again,
is it's boring. Yeah,
it's boring. Yeah.
It's boring. There's a lot of them holding a rose, standing in a big empty garage. Like, I'm going to place it here, because they can't fully have, the whole float done or whatever. And so there's a lot of talking about that.
Yeah.
And it's just the biggest crime for that one. Correct. Is it's boring.
Yeah. All right. Next, we're going to talk about Nikki DeLoach. We're almost done. We're going to talk about Nikki DeLoach.
Another hard one.
Yeah. Another tough one. I go with Two Turtle Doves is my favorite. I love that. I love the story. I love the near kiss is so well handled. I love the whole scene with the daughter. And I didn't know I was allowed to be sad. I mean, it is a sad one, but I think touching. It's well done. It's a well executed sad one, and
her connection with the doves. It's really, it is. That's a good one.
Yeah.
I went with Cranberry Christmas.
Okay.
I just thought this is another one that I was surprised, because it came out during the COVID, in 2020, but I was surprised at how good it is. I mean, they're a married couple. It's Benjamin Hollingsworth, right?
Benjamin Ayres.
No, Benjamin Ayres. Apologies, too many Benjamins.
Yeah.
But yeah, like they had really good chemistry, and it's like she's just like this lifestyle brand, and they have this company together, and their marriage is falling apart, and just doing this festival one more time before they call it quits, and then doing this special for TV brings them together because they rediscover themselves, and they realize like part of the reason is because they weren't communicating. And I just, because you could tell they really didn't want to like divorce, and there was something more. And oh, that opening shot of the cranberry fields looks gorgeous, and I think it's a good looking movie. And I loved it too, because I was like, it's a married couple. There's no third parties. There's no meet cutes or anything like that. It's just these two people working it out with a TV crew in front of them for filming the special.
It's a well done. Like I said earlier, it's not like my favorite genre movies, but it's well done.
It's an adult.
I'd watch it again.
Sort of,
yeah.
It's the most good. Adult. Not that all these movies are juvenile, but it's like a sort of an adult-ish more theme for Hallmark. With the married and dealing with issues.
Yeah. Well, my worst actually wasn't that hard, because I had it in my worst of list. I know it's one you enjoyed, but I just really disliked 5 More Minutes. I didn't, even to the extent of her getting 5 more minutes, it wasn't with the grandfather that she knew and loved. It was with him as a teenager or a young adult. And so that was less meaningful than it would have otherwise been. And I hated the fact that she's emotionally cheating. And so it was hard to get invested in the relationship between her and David Hayden Jones because of the way that it was all structured. And it just really annoyed me. I really didn't like it. So that was my worst.
This one was hard to pick a worst, because again, just like with Paloha, I really enjoy all of Nikki DeLoach's holiday films. And so I was like, which is the one that I wouldn't go back to? And even though I like this movie, I did pick 5 More Minutes as my worst. Out of all her films, because I was just taking it as a whole looking. I was like, this is the lesser of the body of just the holiday films she has done. And though it works for me, it is true. She's having 5 more minutes with a version of her grandfather she didn't know. She's rediscovering like her joy of the baking and saving all that stuff. It's fine for me. It's just like, it is the lesser of her work for the holiday films. So yeah, I picked that as it's my worst.
All right. Well, the last one we have is Erin Cahill. And I know this is not one you're not a fan of, but I have to go with Random Acts of Christmas is my favorite, the Christmas Batman movie. I like the whole concept for me of him being this good Samaritan. She's trying to look into it, and I like the little. I just feel like he's so swoon worthy in the movie.
Yeah,
he is kind of like the perfect man in this movie.
Totally. He doesn't need the publicity. He's keeping it secret, Patrick Duffy is his Alfred.
Yeah. And little like scenes like when they have the Thanksgiving tacos and like that. Yeah. I just really enjoyed it. I thought it was really sweet, romantic and fun, and she's good in it. I also love one called I think it's Homegrown Christmas for Lifetime that she's in, and I really only like it for one scene when she's engaged in the movie. She's not even the lead character, but she's engaged, and her fiance, she's missing home. Her fiance makes a whole room of snow out of paper clippings for her, and so they have this whole scene of her like reveling in the snow room, and I'm like, that's the most romantic thing I've ever heard, is this man making her a snow room. I really do like that one also, and I like Timeless Christmas a lot. That's the one that for like Hallmark I was thinking, okay, I do enjoy that one, but yeah, that's I think I like Random Acts of Christmas.
Yeah, Mistletoe, bad single. Yeah, that floored me out. That floored me out when that came in. I was like, what? Oh, the CGI. Like, I get it. I get why you like it.
What'd you pick?
I really had to think about this one. And I ended up going with Every Time a Bell Rings.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Because I liked the relationships with the sisters, the dynamic of the sisters. She's got a little romance going, but that's not the center of the story. The sisters are all gathered together with hunting for this bell. One last time, a scavenger hunt that they would do with their father, honoring their parents, their father, remembering him, getting together, also, talking to each other about the points of life, and because they were all adopted, so all of their not struggles, but whether they should contact their birth parents and talking it over with their adoptive mom and everything like that, and then some do, some don't, and I just love that relationship. It was like little bits of life to feel connected and all this stuff, and it ended up being really sweet. So
yeah
and because it premiered on the Hallmark Movies Now, the streaming service, and it has given on TV, but I don't know if it's well known to a lot of Hallmark fans.
That was a good one. Well, worst is definitely Christmas bedtime stories. It's got to be that
100% agree.
So terrible.
Listen to the worst episodes because we'll hear us raging on this one.
That's right.
I lost my mind several times in that podcast. This was one of them. But
yeah, it's awful. Well, there we go.
Awful.
Everybody has good and bad. You can't win them all, right? So
some don't even have bad. We just had to pick one.
Yeah, you're right. So let us know what you would pick in the comments or on Twitter. If you're listening, we'd love to hear your picks. And Terry, where can people find you?
Excuse me. I'm at 12. Sorry. Flurry Heaven at Twitter.
Great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So check that out. Also, make sure you're following the podcast at Hallmarkies Pod and Hallmarkies Podcast, all of our social media. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. We really, really appreciate that. And if you are watching or listening on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that so much. We also have the Patreon group, which is so much fun and a great way you can participate. Normally, this was a little bit different, but normally we have a chance for our patrons to share their lists. So please check out the Patreon. And then we have the merch store where we have new designs kind of inspired by Barbie. That was sort of my inspiration this go around. So check out the merch store. I think you'd enjoy it. And I hope you all have a very Merry Christmas. We'll talk to you all later. Bye.
Bye.